The Daily Dribble.
Welcome back to the Daily Dribble podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit. Here back fit and firing the NBA, should I say. I'm all caught up in my NBL show from earlier in the week. The NBA has officially returned. Here to break it all down with me is Mr. Lee Hancock. Welcome back, pal.
Thank you.
And Mr. Ro Hancock.
How are we going?
The band's back together, boys.
How's the week off, Lee?
Good week off.
Get up,
Recharged.
Fit and firing.
We are, yes.
A lot of action this week, wasn't there? So you had to come in 110, didn't you?
110, 120 in fact.
Good man. I love to hear that. How have you guys found the first week of NBA being back?
Yeah, it's been flat out, hasn't it? We were just discussing this before the pod, but goodness me, like the first week of the NBA season is always hectic. You're finding out who's going to be the, real contending teams this year. A few breakout players, perhaps. Still early days, but it's exciting.
It's great to be back. Lee, yourself, you loving it, mate?
It's always pretty overwhelming at the start of the season, just because you don't get integrated with 1-2 games in. It's always like 10 games a day, 10 games a day.
What was it? Day one, we had 2 games, and then it was, 14 or 13 games?
Yeah.
13 or 14
Straight
games, and
into the
another
deep
2
end.
today.
Mm.
I tell you what, though, absolutely loving it. So we have a massive show in store for you today, guys. We're going to kind of break down some of the talking points that have come out of the last couple of days of action.
Yep.
The game that we enjoyed the most, the player that's been the kind of the pick of them so far between us.
Yep.
Granted, as Lee said, it's only been a couple of days, but we'll jump to these early conclusions.
Sounds good.
Before we get into it, though, guys, a big shout out to the Spotlight Sports Network and the Cover, hooking us up not only here in Australia with the Cover, but also in the US for the Spotlight Sports Network. So certainly appreciate everything they're both continuing to do. Guys, you may have seen earlier in the week, I kicked off our second episode a week, our purely NBL-focused show. Had a hoot and a half doing that one. So if you're an NBL fan, be sure to tune in. I'll be dropping that one next Monday night. I'll be going through my early season power rankings.
Did you think you would get back to the solo episode so quickly?
I didn't. I didn't mind it, though, the NBA, like having a show purely focused on the NBA. I quite enjoyed it. So certainly looking forward to dropping another one next week. So check that out, guys.
Lovely.
Let's get into it, though. Let's start on a somewhat somber note. Well, it's not somewhat somber. It is a somber note.
It is somber.
News broke today that iconic NBA ref Tony Brown had officially passed away at the age of 55 after a long and well-publicized battle with pancreatic cancer. He reffed over 1,100 games across 2 decades there. And we certainly, not only to his family and friends, but also the broader NBA community as a whole, pass on our sincerest condolences.
Oh, absolutely. And in the scheme of things, just so young as well.
It is, isn't it? And I saw a lot of comments and all the posts and whatever, and it's like you never really know what's around the corner, do you?
No.
Life comes and it goes very, very quickly. So how's that for a little kind of, not truth bomb, but just live every minute like it's your last.
You always keep it real, Nick.
100. That's what the kids say, isn't it? Keep it 100.
Oh, dear.
Lee.
Yes.
LiAngelo Ball
Yeah.
has been waived by the Hornets.
Yeah.
Now, this just kind of ties off the back. Last week, we spoke about LaMelo set to miss a couple of weeks. Lonzo out on the sidelines as well. It just kind of continues what the pretty ordinary run for the Ball family, who looked on top of the world only a couple of months ago.
They did. Do we reckon he'll get another gig at NBA level, though? You sort of got the feeling with the Charlotte Hornets that perhaps he got the gig because his brother was already there. I just don't know if he's at NBA quality. I mean, from what I've seen, he's a solid player, but is he, there's a difference between being a solid player and being NBA quality. I think the difference between the level below the NBA and then jumping up to the NBA is just so huge, and you get found out pretty quickly if you're not up to it.
So you reckon he's a no-go?
Not too sure at the moment. I think when he got assigned to this Charlotte Hornets roster, I was thinking, I don't know if I would have done that.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering at the time, was it because of LaMelo already being on the roster? But I'd love to see him back, but it also wasn't a surprise when he got waived.
As our resident Hornets fan, Lee, what do you think of this? Do you think the Hornets made the right choice? Should they have stuck with him? Do you think he got the role in the first place because of LaMelo?
Look, as soon as he missed that, as soon as he shot that air ball up, I was like, send him on.
Get rid of him.
Rose right.
You're a hard man, though, aren't you?
Yeah,
You take no prisoners.
I agree with Ryan saying, look, he'd absolutely thrash us in a 1v3. He'd absolutely dominate us. But in terms of the NBA, he's just not that level.
1v3? You heard D-Book crying about a double team. Imagine LiAngelo getting triple teamed.
No, I just don't think he's NBA caliber. I think from my perspective, he lacks obviously the skill abilities that LaMelo and Lonzo have, but also just the confidence. I think he's pretty low on the old confidence ball. So no, I don't think he's going to get another gig. And if he does, it'll be because of his name, not
because of his dad. I reckon the ultimate hype man, LeVar Ball. You haven't seen him in the news much recently.
No.
That's ominous, actually.
Oh, it is.
Like when you haven't heard of LeVar Ball in the news for a couple of months.
The calm before the storm.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
The perfect storm he is indeed. Other news, a couple of injury points here. The Bucks will be without Pat Connaughton for 3 weeks after he suffered a right calf strain.
Mm-hmm.
So again, the Bucks will keep things afloat. They got a nice win over Philly earlier today. But alongside Connaughton being out, they'll also Chris Middleton expected for a similar time frame after he continues to rehab after wrist surgery there.
You just hope for the Bucks. Sorry to butt in.
No,
but
please.
You just hope for the Bucks that these guys, it's okay them being out in the start of the regular season, but as we saw last year with Chris Middleton out throughout the course of the playoffs, you just hope that once the playoffs roll around, and as we know, Milwaukee Bucks will be in the thick of it.
Absolutely.
You just hope that all their key guys are there, including Middleton and Connaughton.
We absolutely love here the Chris Middleton experience. Everything that it brings on the Ferris wheel there, isn't it? Where it stops, nobody knows. No. But he certainly is a valuable piece there for the Bucks. And just on the Bucks, what do you think? I'll go to you, Lee. Now, bar Giannis, Middleton, Drew, Brooke, these key cogs within the team, they're getting over 30 now. Certainly, no signs of slowing down at the minute. Do you think they've still got another 5 to 6 year window, or do you think it's maybe a 2 to 3?
Look, the NBA is so rapid with their trades and whatnot. I don't think 5 to 6 is a realistic outlook, but I'd say 3 to 4, sure. And like you said, 30 isn't young, but it's
definitely the new 20.
It's not old in the NBA either. I think you start worrying. I think you start worrying at that 34, 35. So yeah, I think they have a good 3-4 left.
Yeah, Rose, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat as Lee, to be honest with you. Like you look at teams even like the Phoenix Suns, and their window has shut. Like it is still open, but it is shutting very quickly at the same time, particularly with CP getting older and DeAndre Ayton.
Feels like they missed their chance. Over the last 2 years in particular. Last year was the one that certainly got away. Even before that, against the Bucks the year prior, I think their championship window, and I think for Chris Paul, as much as I hate to say it, we love him here. The NBA loves him, but I think the door might have shut.
Father time catching up with CP, you reckon?
I think so. No one can outrun him. And a bit more injury news here on a team that might not be quite in the thick as much at the back end of the season. No doubt we'll touch on them a little more shortly. The Lakers will be without Dennis Schroeder for 3 to 4 weeks after undergoing surgery on his thumb. Likewise, Thomas Bryant expected for the same return time, given he underwent the same surgery there.
Not that contribute a lot.
I don't know how. I'll get into that shortly. I think they might. Well, I would take them. I would take them right now.
You'd take anyone right now. We'll get into it later.
The Mavs have signed Facundo. I love his name. Facundo Campazzo. After playing his trade with the Nuggets during the week, signed him. Will certainly add some much-needed ball handling to complement Luka there.
Isn't he fitting at the Mavs? I feel like Mavs is just a foreign destination team. Bring all the foreigners there.
Bring Bobby back, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think there's something in that, though. I think like they have always been known for picking up these, these international players.
Well, you look at the most iconic franchise superstar there, Dirk, as well.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go. Maybe we'll turn that into the all international team.
Yeah.
Who would be you'd need to get Giannis, when you Jokic.
Yeah.
We spoke about this a few weeks ago, but the actual international talent, I think, is at level or above the US level at the minute. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Excellent, lads. I've got a couple of contract extensions here. I'm going to pose them to you, and you're going to tell me which one you think's the best deal.
Or if
Go
they
for it.
surprise us. Okay.
So the first one, the Rockets have signed Kevin Porter Jr. to a 4-year, $82 million contract. Now, it's
Yep.
quite a bizarre contract.
Mm.
It's been done to give big upside to KPJ,
Yeah.
but also protect the Rockets. Now, essentially, the first year is all that's guaranteed for about $15 million. And then if the Rockets wish to keep him and so forth, that value will increase. But they've got no obligation whatsoever. So they've really kind of mitigated any risk because we know he's had his troubles in the past.
Yeah.
But we'll say that's the deal. 4-year, $82 million.
Okay. Next.
DeAndre Hunter with the Hawks has signed a 4-year, $95 million contract.
Goodness.
Nasir Little has signed a 4-year, $28 million contract with the Blazers. Now, if you can't quite remember him, he made huge strides with the Blazers last year prior to suffering a season-ending shoulder injury. That was in January. Up until that point, he was averaging nearly 10 points a game, 5.5 rebounds, an assist, a block a game. So that one's 4 years, $28 million. And the last one out of these four, Brandon Clark, a 4-year, $52 million extension with the Grizzlies. Last season, the power forward averaged 10.5 points, 5 rebounds, and a block a game. So 4 there, Kevin Porter Jr., DeAndre Hunter, Nasir Little, and Brandon Clark. What do you make of this? Go any route you want with it, Lee.
I like the one that stood out was KPJ. The KPJ, the Rockets. It proves that they found a mutual agreement where, look, he's not going to stuff up and he's not going to have these behavioral immature issues, and he's going to stick to playing basketball, and he's going to get paid what, 20 mil a year, near
22,
22 a year. I like that. I like the direction they're going. He's obviously a vital cog for the Houston Rockets.
Perfectly aligns with that timeline, what they've got brewing there. Sengun, Jalen Green.
I like the trust there.
Jabari Smith. Yep.
Both have a level of trust, so I like that one.
I think you almost had to do that if you're the Houston Rockets, though, given, as you were mentioning, Nick, sort of the start to KPJ's career has been a little up and down and a little bit unpredictable, just from a personality perspective and a maturity perspective as well. So,
from all reports, the acquisition of Stephen Silas as head coach has been the big kind of turning factor. There was an interview saying that he pretty much saved KPJ's life.
That's saying something.
That's sorry to cut you off, but just to give a little more kind of clarity on that.
He was a free agent for a long time after that Cavs incident with his girlfriend in the car and the gun and whatnot.
Yeah,
he was a free agent. Well, is he going to be in the league this time in a couple of weeks?
It's good that he's got another opportunity, and we've seen the absolute flashes he's had.
Yeah.
For these contracts, I think DeAndre Hunter.
That was overs, right?
Big overs.
Yeah,
huge overs. That's nearly $24 million a year. He's not really shown or proven anything within the league. I think the Hawks have gone well and above there.
What is he? A wing?
Like a kind of 3-and-D.
3-and-D kind of. I'm sure you could
hasn't
find
really
someone.
shown much 3 or much D thus far.
They're relying on him heavily, and I feel like you do need. He does.
That's a high caliber player you're getting for $25 million.
Yeah.
Even with the upcoming, increase in the cap with the bargaining agreement there, that I think still overs.
Well, where does he sit in the pecking order? Because we know we've got Trae Young and DeJounte Murray taking up that 1A, 1B spot.
Bogdanovic,
Johnny Collins, Bogdanovic. I guess Clint Capella still around. Okongwu.
Depends how you see it. I certainly don't think he's in their top 3 or 4 players, and for a guy on $25 million, that's where you'd want him.
I think it sort of speaks to where we're heading with the NBA, and I guess where we already are with the NBA and the payments. The NBA teams are just throwing around money these days to lock down these guys. Even like DeAndre Hunter, who's probably a role player, and you can't be paying him 95. What is it? 95 over a 4-year contract. That's absurd.
Yet I think the deal for Nasir Little. 4 years, $28 million, so $7 million a year. I think that is fantastic for the Blazers.
Yeah.
And I think it's great for him, especially after coming off the back of a pretty severe injury there, to still get paid well. Certainly it's not gonna break any records. Paid well, but it also gives the Blazers flexibility to see what they've got in him for a couple more years, and then how things play out, offer him a little more dosh. So
seems like a lifetime ago that we saw Nasir Little out there, and he was actually performing really well before he went down with that injury. And I guess just lastly, that Brandon Clark one, because it's the only one that we haven't really touched on too much. I think it's good for the Grizzlies, particularly given they're a young up-and-coming group, to lock in these core guys so they have a bit of stability going forward.
That's key, isn't it? And that's what they've done the last few years, build, haven't they?
They have, yeah, 100%. So I'm really happy with that one. And I think as time progresses, hopefully they start to lock in a few more of these core guys because they could be anything over the next 5 to 10.
Those last three as well, I think you're paying them as the glue. You're not paying them on an individual level, if you know what I mean. They're kind of the glue that puts it all together. In saying that, DeAndre Hunter is a $94 million glue. I'll tell you that.
That's
some bloody good glue.
That's some really good glue there.
Far out.
Well, I'll move ahead to kind of in a different block.
Wow.
The Warriors.
Okay.
Now,
what, this week in general?
Their extensions. Now, Jordan Poole during the week, he got a 4-year, $140 million extension.
Goodness.
Well, it's really 123 million with incentives. Will go up to 140 million. Andrew Wiggins is also tied up for a further 4 years.
He got offered
109 million.
Jeez,
So
good.
Poole 4 years, 140 million with those incentives. Wiggins 4 years, 109 million. Took a bit of a pay cut there.
No Dre.
Now this is the thing. Their luxury tax bill in 2023, 2024. Have a guess how much it's going to be. Just say a number. Just say any number you want.
You just say.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Well, it's going to be more than 3 times the previous highest tax bill in NBA history. It's going to be $483 million their tax bill.
Goodness me.
Holy
how's
shit.
that? So how's that going to work next year?
I tell you what, Joe Lacob's got...
He's got some work to do, doesn't
he's
he?
got some
In the
work
back
to
office.
do. Highest tax bill in league history by a country mile. They're not shy on splashing cash, but that being said, there's a limit to what you can do, really.
There is.
And it kind of, I saw the analogy during the week, kind of feels like musical chairs. The music stopped and Dre is the only guy without a seat.
Yeah. It goes back to this question we were talking about last week.
Yep.
Is Draymond on the way out of Golden State?
Let's come back on that from last week. With this news now, with Poole, Wiggins getting big extensions. What do you reckon? Has this given you a little more clarity on that situation, right?
Well, I think we were discussing last week, weren't we? Would you rather keep Jordan Poole or Draymond Green? And I think they've put all their eggs in the basket with Jordan Poole. And I think particularly after his season last year, we knew that Jordan Poole was going to get paid. So it's well-deserved. And I guess...
Got paid more than Tyler Hero as well. Do you think if you had to just off the top of the dome, Hero or Poole, who would you take?
Well, I've got Hero as my 6th man of the year this year.
And he started the other day.
Yeah, I know. What's going on with that?
Yeah.
I don't know if we should touch on that too much, but they're 1A and 1B in terms of like 6th man of the year. And I'm really high on paying these 6th man of the year guys their dues because they're so important coming off the bench and, leading that second unit, you pay them what they're worth.
Lee, how do you find this one? Do you think that's the end of Draymond Green in the Bay Area?
At first glance, you'd have to say, because where's the rest of their money coming from?
Just go pluck it from the tree outside. I think that's what they've been doing the last couple of years.
I just didn't think these contract extensions. You knew it was between those three. I didn't know they'd come this early in the season. We're 1 game in. I thought you'd be looking more at least quarter to halfway.
I know there was a deadline the other day on the Monday. I think was that for the 3rd or 4th year players or something of the kind. So there was a deadline in place there.
I just don't know how big of a impact that punch had on their contract extensions.
Well, I think punch or not, I think regardless, they're going to have to shake things up next season. And does that mean young blokes like Moody and Wiseman to a certain extent and Kuminga, like where does their future sit with the Golden State Warriors? Because if I was the Golden State Warriors, I'd be locking down. Well, they're in a really tricky position because you want to lock down the established stars that they have, obviously. But their next group of stars, you need to start thinking about locking down and, getting these contracts in order.
I think they're in an interesting phase. I'm not sure how long Clay and Steph have left on their contracts. By the time you've got to probably pay the Wisemans, Moody's and Kumingas, they're going to be either just about up or, looking to maybe jet off, Steph mentioned anywhere else would be the Hornets for maybe a season. So I think they're in a really good position at the minute. But I think there's certainly going to be a change coming with Draymond there.
Yep, I'm with you.
Lads, let's move ahead.
The Daily Dribble.
As we said, the whole premise of this week's show has been the start of the NBA season. And
it's been flat out.
What a start it's been.
Oh, mate.
There is no rest for the wicked. We kicked off, what's today? Today is Friday. So we kicked off on Wednesday, didn't we? God, it's been an absolute blur. Kicked off on Wednesday here in Australia with 2 cracking games. Game 1, the Beantown Boys defeated the 76ers 126-117. Huge performances there from Jaylen Brown, 35 points, 3 rebounds, 2 steals. Tatum, 35 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists.
Big.
Went 13 of 20 from the field there.
Efficient.
Joel Embiid, 26 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. And James Harden, 35 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and went 12 of 12 from the line. Now, things were looking pretty good for the Celtics early. Philly roared back there. But it was in that third quarter that they started to kind of flex some muscle.
They did.
And they kind of put it out of reach. They tried to rally a little in the fourth, Philly, but for all intents and purposes, it was kind of over. What did you, Ro, as our Celtics fan, what did you make of this game?
Oh, I was really impressed. Particularly, I guess we know what we're going to get from Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on most nights, and it was really good to see them get off to a good start. But as a Celtics fan, I was a little bit concerned about how the big man stocks would pair up against Joel Embiid. And Grant Williams off the bench was really, really solid, particularly given that Al Horford was in foul trouble very early in this game.
He got 2 very early.
He was, and so Grant Williams, as a result, had to stand up in that situation, which was really pleasing to see from a Celtics perspective, because it showed that even when we're down 2 of our premier big men, I say premier, from our perspective,
yes.
That was really pleasing to see. And the other player I was really happy with on the night was Malcolm Brogdon as a new addition.
Mr. President Lee.
Mr. President. And he's probably going to be one of these guys, I think we'll mention him before the season started, that will be in 6 Man of the Year contention, because he is a starting caliber point guard. Mm-hmm. So on any given night, he'll be coming up against probably a guy who's lesser in quality, skill, and experience.
Anything as a Lakers fan to have him as our starting point guard.
Yeah.
He would just fit so well with what we're doing. I like that point, as you said, about the big men. Latest reports during the week came out that are saying that we're not expected to see Williams back to the second half of the season.
Yeah.
So it's been even further extended. But Horford, Blake Griffin. Yeah, a little shout out to Gilly DeSouza, my main man Gilly. I was talking to him as this game was going on the other day.
Yep.
And I said to him, I was like, oh, shit, Horford's got 2 early ones, look out. And I was like, Noah Vonleh is about to be eaten here. And he sent back, I actually played with him in college.
Subtle flex by him.
I played with him in college. He is solid. He'll do all right, but watch out. And I was like, oh, this could be a bit of a smacking here. But they held up well. And I think especially with that news about Williams now, you need these guys, even Blake Griffin, if they go a small ball 5, Williams, Vonleh, showing that they can actually keep things afloat. And that's all they've got to do. They don't need to be huge offensive output type scorers. You've got Brown, Tatum, Smart, Derek White, Brogdon, who can do that. So that was pleasing to see. Lee, what were your takeaways from this one?
No one's talking about James Harden yet.
Good. No.
I think we've got to.
Please do.
God, he looks like his old self, and then some. He looks
so happy to see it.
I reckon this year could be.
Oh, here we go.
Could be.
Hold on.
I don't know the word, because I think the word would be most efficient we've ever seen James Harden. I don't think he's going to be the highest volume scorer he's been, because that was him in Houston. But I think this year he'll be the most valuable and efficient he's ever been for him and his teammates and the Philadelphia 76ers as an organization.
If you were to look at an MVP chart, they're not saying he's going to win it, unless you are saying that.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
If you were to predict at the end of the season then, do you think Harden or Embiid will finish higher up those standings?
I think it's very...
because they're probably going to cannibalize each other a little bit.
Very dependent on how the coaches play the team in general. You can either play ISO heavy and play Harden, and then if they did that for the rest of the season, granted he doesn't slow down, he'd obviously be that guy.
Yep.
Same with Joel Embiid. They could go the Joel Embiid route, and he would be that guy. To me, I think you're probably looking at the Joel Embiid side because he's a bit more reliable. So, yeah, down the long run.
Philly fans out there, though, would be stoked to see he went 12 of 12 from the line. The fact that he got to the line for 12 free throws shows how aggressive he was. As you said, very reminiscent of his Houston days, just willing to attack, to drive, and to draw contact.
Not passive and he wasn't hesitant at all like we've seen past couple of seasons.
And despite the loss, and, it went down by 2 points today to the Bucks as well, so they're zipping 2. Yet again today, he was aggressive. So I would take a lot of confidence out of that. Embiid struggled a little bit.
Yeah.
But I just jump back on the Celtics. Ro, without your green-coloured glasses on there.
Oh, no.
It's only one game, but could Jason Tatum finish top 3 in MVP voting?
It's sort of the same story, I think, with the James Harden and Joel Embiid. I think he and Jaylen Brown will take votes away from each other. I think he's going to be in contention for sure, but, I think there's probably guys ahead of him.
Yep.
I'd love to see it, though. I'd love to see it. He would have to. Yeah, I reckon he'd have to average 32 to 33, and the Celtics finish top 2 in the East.
It's not outside the realm.
It's not, is it? No, I guess it's not.
He looked good.
Yeah.
He looked money.
Both of them did. Both of them did. They had runs.
They did. And that's good, isn't it? When when one's cooking, the other knows to keep
ticking over.
And I think that's kind of that maturity that they've started to show more so over the last 12 months.
Yeah, I agree.
Where it was kind of tit for tat before. They know when someone's on a heater, let it run out. So
just quickly, I know we're going back and forth, which tends to be how the show goes, but
it's good. Keeps everyone on their toes.
What do you reckon? First few games, James Harden's averaging 33. Joel Embiid's probably been a bit down on his usual output over the first few games.
Yep.
Who's averaging more points this year? James Harden, Joel Embiid?
Great question. I'll
go.
Yeah,
I'll take the reins. I'll go Jojo, just because James Harden has that facilitator aspect to his game as well, which I think in more games than probably not, he's gonna fill that facilitator role. Maybe let Maxey score a bit more and let Jojo score a bit more, which is why I think.
I see you didn't mention Tobias Harris there.
Toby Harris.
I love Tob. I've got him in my fantasy.
Well, I'm going to say again, as I just mentioned, with your green-coloured glasses on there, right? Yeah, I'll say, I'm going to say Harden 2 games, just for the pure fact that I love how aggressive he looks.
Yeah.
I love how aggressive he's been, and I really hope it continues because we kind of forget he's one of the greatest scorers in basketball history.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
You don't just lose that overnight.
I know, exactly. And as you said, his passing certainly has always been a key cog of his game. It probably got overlooked a little bit when he was scoring 30-plus points a season.
We took it for granted.
But I see him big things.
I think I'm with you, to be honest with you. And I think it's the first season in maybe 2 or 3 seasons that there's been this much stability for him.
Yep.
Over the past few seasons, he's gone from the Rockets to the Nets and then half the season with the 76ers. And this year they're on a mission, the 76ers. I don't know what it will translate into, but I know that James Harden, I'm predicting him to be around the 30-point a game mark, even with Joel Embiid in that team, who won't be far behind.
Had him the number 1 seed, 0-2. It's not a great start.
Did we see James Harden break? I can't remember. He broke someone's ankle on the 3-point line, did a little shimmy,
bricked it,
and just missed it.
Absolutely,
you don't see that.
You can't do that.
He did the shimmy. That's.
I was about to say. Whenever you see them do that, 9 times out of 10 they hit it. But when they miss and they don't even get rimmed, God, it looks ugly.
Yeah, it does.
It looks so ugly. Oh, that was killer.
Come on.
He thought that was in the bag, didn't he?
Well, let's push ahead. We've still got a bit to get to, lads. We'll push ahead. I don't want to touch on this one for too long because it just makes me sad. Ring night for the reigning champs. The Golden State Warriors beat the Los Angeles Lakers 123 to 109. The champs, I tell you what, they started to flex some muscle in the back end of the second quarter. And from that point, really put the foot down and put it out of reach. There was a somewhat, tentative little rally from the Lakers in the fourth, but it was over. Curry, 33 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals. The King LeBron had 31 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists.
Stop it.
Great for you there, Lee.
Good my fantasy. Good
Yeah,
fantasy.
you love that. Takeaways for me on this one. Now, this kind of follows on even more so after their loss again to the Clippers earlier today.
Yeah.
So 0-2, not a place you want to find yourself, but I've got real reservations about how good this team can be. I had somewhat high hopes, but they've quickly been extinguished just after seeing how bad they were. I'll touch a little more in that Clippers game shortly, just regarding a takeaway there, but everything hinges on LeBron. It is LeBron or bust.
God, they just make you go.
Just
There's no other word.
A big sigh. And I know, like, I don't want to jump on this too much because every media outlet is, but I feel like we just have to talk. And I know Russell Westbrook, from a statistical point of view, in this first game was actually quite solid. He had 19 and 11, but he's just not working with this Lakers team as he should be.
Okay, well, let's tie it in with the Clippers game today then, shall we?
Is that your game of the week?
Absolutely not.
Well, you were hyping it up like, what? You're like, we'll talk about it later.
No, well, we'll tie it in just because I want to talk about the Russell Westbrook point.
Yeah.
So I might tie it in. They went down 103-97 today. Now, this ties in with the point of the Lakers looking bad. In this game, there's that big sigh. Russell Westbrook went 0 of 11 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3. Pat Bev went 1 of 7 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. Kendrick Nunn, 0 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3.
None of
Those
7.
3 players combined going 1 of 25 from the field. 1 of 25 from the field. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
4% from the field, 1 of 16 from 3. 4% from the field for 3 of your bigger players.
Oh, it's absolutely inexcusable.
So that just gives more weight to the fact, like, I am, as I said, everything hinges on LeBron. AD's been real solid the last couple of games.
He's been good.
He has been good.
He has been.
He's been
helped my
everywhere.
fantasy team, in fairness.
Whenever I've watched him, he's been everywhere on the offensive end and the defensive end. He's been good.
But just on your point there, Ron, the Westbrook point, so
it's not entirely his fault.
It's not, but 0 of 11, come on, man.
Yeah, that you need to take some accountability.
Come on, man. And
as
0 of 6 from 3. Mate, you're not if you miss the first 3 or 4.
Okay, who else is going to put them up, though?
Give him to LeBron.
Give
him to Lonnie Walker.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker
Lonnie.
looked good, didn't he?
26 was it he had today?
Yeah.
Give him to him. Give it to I can't.
No, there's
Matt
no
Ryan.
other. Don't give it to Matt
He's
Ryan.
doing DoorDash.
Even when they're 2 or 3 points down, the Lakers, you can just tell
So bad.
they're not in control at all.
Oh, they're so
LeBron,
bad.
I loved how LeBron said it as well. He said, we don't have any shooters. We've got no lasers on our team.
And that's what you need for a LeBron-led team. All you need is shooters around him.
Sorry, but in this day and age, you need shooters on your team.
Yeah.
And you can't go anywhere without. They have. It's generous to say LeBron's a shooter. LeBron, you're one of the greatest of all time.
But that's why you put shooters around him.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't got it.
It's
At this point, if you're the Lakers, even though I don't think Indiana would do it, you almost just want to do a straight swap for someone like a Buddy Hield, who you know is going to knock the lights out from.
Do the package. What was it? Westbrook and we got rid of THT, didn't we? Shit. Westbrook, that first round pick in 2027, and
Matty Ryan
and someone else. Bring in Turner. Bring in Bud.
Yeah,
there you go.
Getting
Make
creative.
it happen.
Yeah,
but they're just back on that point. So as I said before, Westbrook or Brogdon. God damn it!
Take Brog every day of the week.
What would I give for Brogdon right now?
It's not composed.
And
they signed Rob Pelinka on for another 4 or 5 years.
Jeez, I think he signed himself up, didn't he?
Isn't it crazy to think 2 years ago we were champs, City of champions,
Had a good team around LeBron and AD. You did,
and it's just gone up in smoke real quickly.
I think I saw a meme, or I don't even know if it was a meme. It might have been a tweet throughout the week about that. Like, you look at the Lakers after they won the championship, and they more or less blew it up.
They did.
And then you look at Golden State, and they more or less kept the same core group of players, and look
Not
where
been
it's gotten.
spoken about enough their depth either. I know we've
Mm.
spoken quite a bit about the Clippers and the Celtics,
Yep.
their depth in particular. Granted, I know Gallinari's gone down, Rob Williams, but their depth,
Mm.
as with the Clippers there. But the Warriors, I think their depth's been slept on.
Yeah, it is.
Like they are, especially now, all a year older, the Moody's, the Wisemans, the Kumingas, they are super, super solid. So, wasn't surprised to see them wax the Lakers there.
No, me too.
Lads-
And Clay just quickly
Yeah,
played
no,
restricted
please.
minutes as well. 19 minutes goes back to that point about depth. They've got players who can come off the bench and make it almost seamless.
That's it. Well, we'll truck along because we've still got a bit to go. Let's go to our game of the week, fellas. Lee, you might want to kick us off here.
Let me get my notes.
You get your notes up, pal.
My game of the week was two teams who, on paper, and if they
I
weren't,
think we might have the same game.
okay, if they weren't versing each other, you'd probably you'd be
No.
sleeping. All right, probably. But my one this week was Detroit versus Orlando.
There you go. Put it there.
Is that yours? Yeah, this was a much watched game with both these teams, both in kind of similar rebuilding stages. Probably Detroit maybe a year ahead of the Orlando Magic, but similar.
Mhm.
Number one pick versus number one pick of the
Mm.
last year. Cade versus Banchero, and geez, was Banchero good for his
Oh.
debut. He went 27 on 63% shooting, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. And if it weren't for
His first game in the league.
How
Yeah,
comfortable did he look? He looked like he was a veteran.
First game in the league.
first game in the league, and he absolutely blew it up. They did go down. Do you have the score, Nick?
I do. It was 113 to 109 there. I tell you what, the Magic started like a house on fire,
Mm.
led by as many as 15
Yeah.
early on, and it looked like they could put on a bit of a clinic. Detroit got themselves back into it in the second quarter, got out to an 11-point lead in the third before the Magic rallied and kind of turned it into a real arm wrestle down the stretch there. It was a phenomenal game though.
Yeah, if Cole, they had Cole Anthony out, they had Wagner, they had like Gary Harris, and they had
Suggs fouled out late, which hurt them. He had a phenomenal game, 21 points, 3 assists, 2 steals.
Fultz out as well. So if they weren't out, look, Orlando probably would have gotten on top. But geez, Detroit was good as well. Looked good. Ivy put up 19 on 53% for his debut
3
game.
rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals to go with those 19 points.
Cade had a 18-point double-double.
Yep.
Jalen Duran, he came out with a double-double off the bench. Didn't play heaps of minutes either. And knock it off with Beef Stew's 3 to win the game. I loved it.
Stew.
Great game to watch.
I'm with you there. I thought it was a great game to watch, and I thought it was so fun. I loved seeing 2 up-and-coming teams who are, for the last couple of years, have not been that exciting.
No, fair to say.
Really have not been
No.
exciting at all. And just the caliber of players that is not only now, but for the next 5 to 10 years. On the Banchero point, goddamn.
He proved why he went number one. I remember going into the draft, I was like, geez, him number one.
I thought 6 to 12 months ago, Shet was a lock.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
He's a man. He's not like a boy coming out of college. He's a man.
He's solid.
built.
Big boy.
I'm super. I don't think either of them are going to make too much noise in the East, just because it is as deep as it has been.
But you're not expecting them to
No.
either,
But
are you?
no,
Really?
that's it. But they are going to be fun to watch.
Did you pick Paolo up in draft?
I did.
Oh,
Yeah,
dearie
yeah.
me.
I
You
picked him quite early as well, I think.
took a gamble and it looks like it's
Paid
paid
off.
off. So
Game,
so
game
fun.
1 in the books.
yeah. But back on those I know we're back on those Pistons, 2 young guys in Ivy and Duran. I think they've struck gold with those 2 blokes. Those they look like they're going to be really key contributors going forward for the Pistons, and I think they're probably one of the really most exciting teams to watch this season, just given the fact that they've got nothing to lose, do they? Because if they have an awful season, they're right in contention for Big Boy Vic. But if not,
imagine
then-
him on that team.
if not, then I think there's good signs to come for the Pistons. That's for sure.
I tell you what, on the Pistons, sorry, I was just wanted to get the stats here because I thought he was phenomenal.
Mm.
The acquisition of Bogdanovic.
Oh, he's been
Oh.
great.
He was
great.
huge. Now he
Lighting
started
it up.
pretty slow.
He was so out of character, out of the blue. He didn't fit in. He doesn't. He does not.
I
Where
thought that
they-
as well.
24 points he finished with.
Yeah.
24 points, went 6 of 10 from deep, and just really steadied the ship and kept kept things ticking over.
That's exactly right. He did steady the ship, and he's like as Lee was saying before, he didn't seem like he fit in. He's like this real mature, like
With all these
seasoned head
young
with,
whippersnappers.
yeah, with the
He's
whippersnappers. It
Stuck out like a
looked
sore
funny.
thumb.
Yeah,
It did.
it
Well,
did.
there's our game of the week done,
Yeah,
Lee.
that was
Killed
done.
2 birds with 1 stone. A little double combo there, little
Double
points.
comb.
I mean, that probably would have been mine as well. But to mix things
I
up,
was about to say, I'm glad we didn't all have the same game.
nah,
Where'd you go?
well, I actually really liked the Bucks 76ers game today, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. And the
Excellent.
76ers, in the end, it was the Bucks 90 defeating the 76 88. But the 76ers came back late in that game.
They did.
I think their first lead was they scored the first bucket of the game as 2-0. And after that, it looked like the Bucks are sort of in control for the majority of the game. But for them to come back and surge back and be in contention come the end of the game, it was really solid. And I really, as we were mentioning before with James Harden, I really am excited to see what he can achieve this season, because he honestly looks like a man on a mission.
Hungry.
We saw when he slimmed down, because
Not for his normal chicken wings.
not for his normal chicken wings. He looked like Rick Ross last season, and then this season he looks like he could do anything. Could be an MVP contention.
Look out.
But 2 heavyweights in the East, and you thought it was always going to be a really good game on the way, and it resulted in that. And Philly were probably quite stiff to not win that one in the end, because they certainly had their opportunities in the last quarter in the dying stages.
They
but
bricked a lot there, didn't they?
They did brick a few, but the Milwaukee Bucks are another seasoned team who will be difficult to beat for any team throughout the course of the regular season.
Big win for them, as we said, without Middleton, without Connaughton.
With,
they went out in as underdogs there.
Shows character, doesn't it?
I'll tell you who was giving him a chance to win. Drew Holiday was. Went 2 from 15 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3. Just for my fantasy team, trying to pick up someone consistent that, gives you a
Hard
good
work and do it. You're going to get points solid. He's not going to, light it up.
No,
but you know what you're
but
getting.
he's going to have a good field goal percentage. Not this game. And I thought with Middleton out, perhaps he might step up a bit like he somewhat did in the playoffs. But
Not this time around for you, buddy.
No, was disappointed to say the least.
Well,
To say the least.
there you go. I tell you, and as we said, you're a hard man. He could be well on the chop. Another game or two like that.
No.
You're not going to offer him in a couple of trade packages this
I've
week?
done that too often, where at the start of the league,
Panic stations.
Yeah, panic station, drop him. Rose dropped Horf.
Yeah, saw that today.
Yeah, I did drop Horf.
So you dropped Horf and got in Zubac.
and no, I got so
And
I dropped
Capella.
Horf and got Kevin Porter Jr. in.
Oh, yes.
And then dropped Capella and got in Big Zuby, who looks
Zuby
like
Zuby.
he's
Quite
going
good
to
off the waivers there. Good pickups.
Yeah,
for
you
though.
got to be active. Got to be active. Can I just touch on someone though quickly who's not an NBA player who I've really loved watching over the first three nights?
Absolutely.
Kevin Harlan. Now I don't know if you've listened to the games that he's commentated so far this year, but I feel like he's coming out with a bit
Hot.
more.
Yeah, he's re-energized.
He really is. He's coming out very hot. He's coming out with so much enthusiasm on every single play. He makes NBA games so much better to watch when he's commentating those games.
Unsung heroes. You love good shout out. Sometimes
I think it's deserved.
These, certain people don't get enough credit for what they do. So nice to shine a light there, bro.
Yeah, I thought so.
You're on a bit of a roll at the minute. You should kick us off with your player of the week. God damn it, we're all going to have the same one, aren't we?
No, we're
Maybe not.
I can guarantee you.
It's a guy that I just mentioned a few minutes ago.
Oh, that's okay then.
JH, I think, even though the results haven't been coming in, I've really loved to see what he's done over the first few games. And, we had question marks over the off-season and late last season as well as to whether he would actually bounce back to become that dominant, scoring machine that he was once upon a time, particularly when he was playing for Houston. And I think it's only been 2 games, but it looks like he's going to be probably their main guy from a scoring perspective. I'm predicting. So
Even though he bricked it, it's a good sign when he's got the shimmy and shake.
yes.
Forget about where the shot
A lot of
went.
confidence.
It's all about the confidence.
Don't worry about that. But
Yes.
that confidence, you love to see that.
Yeah. So, really, really excited to see what he can do this season.
Such a funny play, though. Such a funny play. Absolutely. Who did he floor? Who was it?
I can't remember, but
I
he
can't
sent him
remember.
flying.
It was- I think he
in
pretty
the
much
first
went out of the
game,
camera
so
shot, didn't
who
he?
did they verse?
The
in
Celtics there.
Oh,
Pretty much sent him out of the camera shot.
Yeah, I can't remember. who it
Unbelievable
was, but
scenes.
yeah,
You got to knock it down, though, big
come
fella.
on, JH.
You got to knock
Who's
it
your
down.
POW?
I've got
Oh,
DeMar
wow.
DeRozan.
Acronyms.
Yeah,
Of
it took me a
course.
minute there.
In your fantasy, of course you pick him.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you did. You've been thrashing me all week.
I did too.
Get him?
Yes, of
Oh,
course I did.
God.
Of course I
Oh,
did.
sure.
Back with DeMar. I got him last year too. They beat the Heat. The Bulls beat the Heat 116 to 108 the other day. Did it without Zach LaVine. Lonzo's still on the sidelines as well. What a phenomenal game he had. He had 37 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, went 14 of 22 from the field, went 2 or 3 from deep, which is good. You take, 2 3-pointers from DeMar there.
He's usually the mid-range specialist.
The mid-range master.
Expanding his range.
Looked super, super comfortable. Once again, as we saw in instances last season, being that number one guy. When they feed him, when he's the offensive focal point, he's something special. And I don't think in his career he's probably got his just desserts.
Yeah.
It's sad for him, especially as after he left Toronto, brought in Kawhi, the hitman there, and they win the title. Kind of all the good work he put in. I love seeing him do well, and I think if for the Bulls, early shout here, if they look to go this route, play even when LaVine comes back, DeMar's the guy. Last season, what they were doing in the clutch, he was second to none. He was in the MVP talk.
He was, I remember.
If he can play somewhat reminiscent to that this season, the Bulls can somehow eke towards 50 wins. Maybe not top 1, 2, 3, but top 5.
Yeah,
I could see a spot
for
DeRozan in the MVP conversation because his display the other night was just breathtaking.
That was unbelievable. And that's
fun to watch.
That's the role that he needs to play to be at his most effective, isn't it?
And especially in the day and
leading
age. Yeah, exactly. Especially in the day and age where the three ball runs rampant. Seeing a guy who just is not evolved his game too much, but just sticks to his bread and butter.
For sure.
I love it.
I think he's up there probably definitely in the top 10 of the most reliable players in the game. He might not be top 10 in terms of skill level and overall, but in terms of knowing what you're going to get from him on any given night, he's just a 20 plus a night guy and he does it really quietly as well.
He does.
He's a subtle scorer. Like you'll be watching the game, you'll see the box score come up at the end of the night and he's already had 27. And it's just
as I said in that one, was it 37?
Yeah, he had 37, yeah.
37.
Well, I had a feeling after his amazing season last year, hitting like 3-point buzzer beaters like 3 times. I thought, come on, guys, he's going to slow down this year. He's getting on. He's aging. But in this first game, I couldn't have been proved more wrong because he's just been brilliant.
Absolutely. Yes. Lee, you're prisoner of war. That's what POW normally is, isn't it?
POW. My prisoner of war.
Prisoner of war. Oh,
who you got?
I got BI this week, Brandon Ingram. You could have probably gone down the Zion Williams. What?
Yeah.
No, I've gone BI.
Yeah, right on.
I think he led that Pelicans team to that 103 to 108 road win over the Brooklyn Nets. Shot 28 on 10 of 17. He got 7 rebounds and 5 assists. Look, I'm going to say this guy looked more like Kevin Durant than Kevin Durant did that night because he was getting tough shots. He was getting to his spot. He was getting buckets. He was effective on the other side of the floor as well. He did this all while he looked like a homeless man with his hair.
He needs to shave that afro off.
It's got to go. No, it's got to go.
No, I don't think it does because I think he's embracing it and it's adding to his game. He's going, look, I don't care. I have no issues whatsoever. I don't care what I look like. And it's adding to
have a little bit of personal, a bit of self-love.
No, you can't be worried about what your hair looks like mid-NBA game. Come on. No, I like it.
What's he doing in the days leading? He's had a whole couple of months, the whole off-season. Hit the barbershop.
No, he's been training.
He's not short of a quid. I'd lend him a 20 if he needed it.
God, they look good too, though, New Orleans. So he didn't touch on them, really.
No.
I was about to ask, particularly in this game against the Nets. So was it New Orleans who looked great, or was it the Nets who looked pretty ordinary?
Because first line in my notes on this game. Did the Nets just look bad, or was it the Pelicans?
I had similar notes here as well.
The Pelicans looked amazing.
Did they?
I think it was a bit of both. To be perfectly honest, I really like. I'm not taking anything away from the Pelicans because at the end of the day, like, I think you were saying, weren't you, Nick? Like at their absolute best, they could be, up in the 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 spot in the West.
Yep.
But on the other side of things, the Nets looked absolutely shocking. Ben Simmons, what do we say about
Here we
his
go.
first
Ben
performance?
Simmons, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He fouled out in 23 minutes. And he took 3 shots.
Didn't look great.
Now, I said the other week, and it's funny, I was talking to a bloke at work the other day, and I said, okay, this is good. KD, Kyrie, all these other offensive-minded people, Simmons shouldn't have to do really much to anything on the offensive end. Granted, you've got to take more than 3 shots.
Yeah.
Like I don't want you to be a 30-point scorer, but actually look aggressive and want to be an option on that end. 3 shots for a guy who's as talented as he is. Like, he's a super, super talented guy. His ability to get in the lane, he should be doing more.
He's still devoid of all confidence when it comes to taking any type of shots. And, his jump shot has never been there, but he particularly in his prime with Philadelphia, he would drive the lane, and he was really
stretch it out as well.
Yeah, for sure. But as I was mentioning to you, I think yesterday, Nick, like, all he was doing was running it past half court. And as soon as he got past half court, he had either KD coming around one side or he had Kyrie coming around the other side and just dishing it off. And it almost became too predictable because you knew that, yes, it's good seeing the ball in his hands, but if you're going to dish it off as soon as you hit half court, then you're not really providing much for the starting squad, are you?
Haslam could do that.
Well,
don't need Ben Simmons.
Probably
to do
could.
that.
And a lot cheaper as well.
He's not a threat right now at all. You're not scared of him. I'm not scared of him.
KD had 32 points, but outside of that, like Patty Mills, 16, Kyrie had 15, Claxton had 13 and looked solid.
Really liked Claxton.
Looked really solid.
He's having a good year.
Shaved the locks, he did.
I didn't recognise him.
Yeah, I was like, who's this guy?
But again, it's one game, but it was troubling signs. And I know they're still waiting on TJ Warren, Joe Harris, Seth Curry, those shooters to come back into the squad. But if you're a Nets fan out there, you would have to be worried by what you saw.
Especially at home, too. That was ugly. I'll tell you what I did like. I liked how Steve Nash, even despite them being down by 20-30 in the fourth, he kept all the starters on just to give them a bit. This is really the first time they're all playing together, bless you, as a union, as one. So I did like how he kept KD, Kyrie. Simmons couldn't stay on the floor because he's fouled out. But.
How good did Zion look? 25 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 steals, 50% from the field. He is back.
He's back.
And again, we're talking about guys who score easy. Tell you what, if he wanted to, he could score probably 35 points a game.
Well, they were doing something throughout the game where they were just chucking it to him in the post, more or less. He'd do 1 or 2 pushbacks, and he was already at the rim. And at that point, it was just a matter of doing a little finger roll,
left-hand layup, finger roll type operator, and that was it.
I think you're on the money though. If he wanted to, he could be a 30-point a night guy. But it just so happens that they've got other very capable scorers on that team.
You know what interests me on a defensive point of things? So I saw a comparison the other day. Jar does it as well. He's just very one-handed dominant.
Yep.
The difference with Jar is he's like shifty. Like he'll start from outside the key, drive in.
Yep.
And he's shifty. Zion will back him down. Like, you know what's coming. He's going to go to that left hand. Surely after the first couple, as a coach, the defensive coach, even as players, you should know what he's doing.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't
try and shift him onto the right side.
Doesn't help. He's too big. Why do you think Ben Simmons got fouled out?
But try and make him do something else because it's just easy money every time he gets there.
Yeah, he's too strong. He's too beefy. Even though he has slimmed down, he's still.
He looks great.
Yeah,
I'd be even more scared of him now, knowing that, like, okay, he was a little bit porky before. He's just a ball of muscle.
Have we ever seen a guy with a physique such as Zion Williamson? We've obviously seen very
here we
big
go.
blokes.
We got back to the Zion Wembanyama talk from last week now. Here we go.
I don't think we've ever seen a guy who's just one big, pure ball of muscle like Zion Williamson. Like, we've seen blokes like Shaq, but Shaq was a bit more... he had a lot of weight, but I don't know if it
was just
necessarily, muscle. But Zion's built like nothing I've ever seen before.
Big baby Davis.
Big baby.
That wasn't much muscle. Though.
Yeah, no.
That was not much muscle. It was a whole lot of cheeseburgers.
A few more rolls.
Tell you what, we
around
could use We could use a ring light about now.
She's getting dark in the operational facility. So what we'll do then, lads, to wrap up, any more quick points that you've taken away from the last couple of days there? I might start with one of the biggest shocks, I think. Was the Utah Jazz beating the Denver Nuggets 123-102. To be honest, it looked like it was going to be more. They had a bit of a third quarter rally, the Nuggets, but they just got blown out. And I want to tie this in with the. Did you guys see the video? Colin Sexton just kind of. It was like a bull. He was like kind of swiping his foot on the ground. He was standing there and just attacked Jokic.
That's right.
He just stood there for like 4 or 5 seconds. Normally they're bouncing it, moving around, like to waste the time, waste the clock.
Yeah.
He was just standing there and then just exploded right at Jokic.
Did he actually do the bull thing?
Yeah.
No way.
No, he did. It was sick. It was sick. And just
what do you mean? Did Jokic have the ball? What
No, so Sexton was holding the ball and just kind of like paced his foot. And just
I think you'll love to see that if you're the Utah Jazz though, because they're probably going to go into most games this season as underdogs. And I love the fact that Colin Sexton's come out game one against, multi-time MVP and just said, I'm not scared of you, and went right at him and finished. So
So that's my point though, for this, what I've noticed so far across the first couple of days, there's not going to be any
sure things.
Many, apart from probably the Spurs. There's not going to be many real bad teams. If you're fans out there of the Jazz, the Rockets, the Pacers the other day, the Pistons, Magic, etc., OKC, there's something to like. If you're a Spurs fan, well, tough luck. There's not much.
What about if
but
you're
enjoy Keldon Johnson. Yeah,
I'm not bloody excited as a Hornets fan. This is my takeaway. Yeah, we got that win over the Spurs, great. But from there, we're the worst team trying.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, true.
And that's the worst you can be. I'd rather.
Gee, you won by like 25 points, didn't you? Man's not happy.
I don't care at all. No, 30 wins at most. But yeah, we need to shift something up because I don't like what I'm seeing.
He doesn't like what he's seeing from a 25, 30 point win.
I don't care. It's against the bottom dwellers, against people.
Not happy.
But all the teams, there's something to like though, isn't there? That was exciting. The Rockets were real plucky against the Hawks there. Again, those young players. So for me, that's kind of my takeaway. I'm really excited for pretty much most of the teams. Yet the Spurs, and you are right, Lee. Probably the Hornets. I've got not a lot of hope for.
No,
I had them very low. So
I'd rather them tank for Victor than just
try.
Like,
absolutely.
I think every team who has no realistic chance of winning the championship should probably do that.
Yes.
I'm starting to throw in the towel for the Lakers.
Yeah, I saw an ESPN video that said, could Lakers tank for Victor? Which they could, but they're not going.
They don't have any draft picks, do they, though? None of their own.
I don't think so.
No, because I think I saw something that would go to the Pelicans. So, yeah, there's no point tanking.
No, no light at the end of the tunnel.
It's a very dark tunnel. It's becoming as is our studio.
It
happened real quickly here.
It's going to become a horror pod in a sec.
Get your torches out.
Well, I tell you what, the way you were going off at the Hornets, blood could be spilled. Fellas, anything else you want to get off your chest?
Just a really quick one, but
absolutely.
I think that Trae Young, DeJounte Murray duo is going to work this season. I know it's only been one game, but I'll tell you what, they didn't take anything away from each other.
No.
I think
they both got a double-double.
Both getting double-doubles. Yep. They both look like they will be, at home facilitating. And I just think it's really positive because there was still a little bit of a question mark about how that was going to work, given the fact that there's such similar players. But I think that could work really well. I was, really happy with how that panned out.
I think it looked good for them that they had a bit of time where their minutes were staggered. They always had that real high-level facilitator on the court at one time. So, they're going to be a fun watch as well.
It's a luxury.
Lee, anything else you want to get off your chest, mate, or you've kind of vented there? And
I said my Hornets piece, now I'm done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, we might wrap it up there before we get thrown into absolute darkness. But I tell you what, some week it's been, some couple of days. By this time next week, when we're doing our next show, we'll have a full week of NBA action under our belts. Guys, we hope you've enjoyed the start of the season as much as we have.
Got to say, I was at home just watching the basketball. I was watching one of the games. And I just started, I was like, yes. I just started clapping, and Aisha was like, what? It's like, that basketball's back.
Basketball's back.
It's
What
back.
game was it? Was it a good game?
I think it was the Nets one. I was just happy to watch them bowl.
Just happy.
It
Good. You see,
improves me.
That's
Yeah.
why we do it, isn't it? We love it. We love it. And if you love the
Passion.
content as much as we do, be sure to stay up to date with all of our socials to get all the latest news when it breaks. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all that good stuff.
Yep.
As well, if you're an NBL fan out there, guys, big show coming next Monday. I'll be dropping that one, doing my power rankings a couple of weeks into the season. So certainly looking forward to seeing how that plays out. A couple of games over the weekend that might throw my current rankings into disarray, but certainly looking forward to bringing that one to you guys on Monday night.
Very good.
Guys, without further ado, let's wrap it up there. For Ro, Lee, I've pointed the fingers the wrong way. I've had a shout. Lee, Ro, and myself. We hope you enjoy the next week of basketball. We can't wait to bring all the action to you next week.